Hello, and welcome to the Air Force ROTC Detachment 157 Family Brief video. Detachment 157 serves Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, Daytona State College, Stetson University, Bethune-Cookman University, and the University of Central Florida, Daytona Beach satellite location. I am Captain Derek Rose, the Operations Officer for Detachment 157. This briefing is normally given every weekday in our detachment building, but due to COVID-19 safety concerns, in-person tours have been suspended until further notice. This information is current as of May 2020. First of all, what is the purpose of ROTC? The mission of Air Force ROTC is to develop leaders of character for tomorrow's Air Force and Space Force. That's right, as of December 20, 2019, the U.S. Space Force is a separate branch of the military, equal to the Air Force and other branches, and Air Force ROTC is currently the path to commission into the Space Force as well. The purpose of ROTC is to train college students to become leaders, and through a competitive selection process provide them a commission as a U.S. Air Force or Space Force officer upon graduation from college. The requirements to join our program and continue on to a commission as an officer include the following. Fitness testing is performed at least once per academic semester and involves 1 minute of timed sit-ups, 1 minute of push-ups, a timed 1.5-mile run, and an abdominal circumference measurement. Cadets must also meet body mass index standards, which are calculated from a height and weight measurement. In the table on the screen, you can see the minimum and maximum standards for each component of the fitness test. Cadets must meet the minimum in all of these categories, as well as a 75 out of 100 possible points overall. See the description of this video for a link to the full fitness testing chart, or Google Air Force Fitness Calculator to calculate your own scores. Your fitness score is a competitive factor that will be factored into things like pilot and job selection, so it's important to have a high score in this area and other areas. In your sophomore year, you will take an academic test called the Air Force Officer Qualifying Test. This test is similar to the SAT or ACT, with sections on math knowledge, reading comprehension, word knowledge, and arithmetic reasoning. There are also sections that are related to flying training performance. This test is used as a qualification standard to progress in the program and is also part of your consideration for pilot selection. The minimum score in the verbal section is a 15th percentile or higher, and the minimum for the math section is a 10th percentile or higher. There are study guides available online, and we do definitely recommend that you study before taking this test, as it is very important for your Air Force ROTC career. You must be a U.S. citizen in order to activate a scholarship or a contract with ROTC in the junior year of college. It's possible to participate in the first 2 years of the program as a permanent resident, but citizenship will have to be obtained in the junior year. All U.S. military officers must be U.S. citizens. After joining the program, you'll be sent to a local doctor at Air Force expense to have a medical exam. This exam will tell us if you meet the medical standards to join the military. They will examine your body and eyes and also ask about your medical history. Det 157 is one of the top ROTC detachments in the country. By raw numbers, we are currently the number 3 largest detachment with normally over 400 cadets in the fall, behind only military schools like the Citadel. In 2019, we won the Vern Orr Award, highlighting how much we accomplished with our small amount of cadre. And we are the number 1 pilot producer in ROTC, behind only the Air Force Academy, which is the Air Force's service academy, and the number of pilots we produce. For those of you interested in being a pilot, this is a great place to be. For the past 5 years or so, we've had a 100% rated, which refers to our flying jobs, selection rate. In 2019, we had a 66% selection rate, but it was still more than any other detachment in the country. Now we'll go over how the AFROTC program is structured. The 4-year ROTC program is broken up into 3 major milestones. The first 2 years, normally the freshman and sophomore years of college, but you can also complete the program in 3 years as a sophomore. You'll be in what's called the General Military Course, or GMC, part of the program. I like to say that this is like going through kindergarten again. We teach you how to walk, as in how to march in formation, how to talk, as in how to speak in public with confidence and how to observe military traditions and customs and courtesies, and how to dress, as in how to wear our military uniform. This is your tryout period for the military. There is no military obligation during the first 2 years in the program, unless you are offered and activate an AFROTC scholarship. If you do activate a scholarship, then you would need to sign a contract with the Air Force at that time that you are willing to pay back the scholarship with a certain number of years of service, which we will talk about on a later slide. In the spring semester of the sophomore year, cadets will compete for an enrollment allocation to go to field training at Maxwell Air Force Base in Montgomery, Alabama. Field training is normally 2 weeks long and is where we ramp up the intensity, and evaluate what you've learned about leadership in your GMC years. You'll work long days in the Alabama heat, displaying your leadership skills in high-stress situations, move through obstacle courses, accomplish missions while firing and receiving fire from simulated weapons, qualify on the M9 pistol, and more. Upon successful completion of field training, you'll return in your junior year of college and enter the Professional Officer Course, or POC, part of our program. This is where you become the leader of the cadet wing and instruct the GMC cadets that have entered the program behind you. Our POC cadets hold a job in the cadet wing, such as Inspector General, Operations Group Commander, Flight Commander, and many others. These are real jobs in the Air Force that we emulate here to give our cadets a wide range of leadership experience, from leading a flight of a dozen people up to potentially leading the entire cadet wing of hundreds. We like to say that Air Force ROTC is like a 4-year-long job interview. Anytime you are around our cadre, you can consider yourself under evaluation. However, a lot of numbers also go into selection. As you can see on the left, the factors that are considered for field training selection are your cumulative college GPA at 25% of your overall score, your fitness test at 20%, and finally the bulk of your score comes from the commander's ranking at 55% of the total score. The commander's ranking is the cadre's opinion of your leadership potential compared to your peers in your class, starting with the most promising cadet and going down to the least promising. Since many people that come to our detachment and Embry-Riddle are interested in flight, I'm sure that you are interested in how we select people to be pilots. On the right side of the screen, you can see that we still include your GPA, fitness score, and the commander's ranking. But we also add in your ranking from field training, which could be something like 34 of 450 cadets in the encampment of field training that you attended. Finally, the largest portion is your pilot candidate selection method, or PICSM score. This score is made up of 3 things. One is the pilot section of your Air Force Officer Qualifying Test, which again you'll take in your sophomore year of school. If you score high enough on that test, you can take another test called the Test of Basic Aviation Skills, which is a hands-on test at a computer that tests your hand-eye coordination, motor skills, and multitasking ability. It's kind of like a really primitive video game. And finally, any flight hours you have are computed into your PICSM score. To be an Air Force pilot, it is not required for you to have any flight hours or to have ever been in a cockpit before. You also do not have to be a particular major in order to be a pilot. We do have many pilots selected that are aerospace science or aerospace engineering majors, but there are also pilots with history, art, music, and psychology degrees. If you are still in high school, you may be interested in Air Force ROTC's high school scholarships. The window to apply is between 1 June and 1 December of your senior year in high school. You can apply on www.afrotc.com. During the process, you'll be assigned a point of contact that can answer any questions you have about what is required. Please note that we do not handle selection of the high school scholarship program at our detachment level. Things included in your application for the scholarship will be your high school GPA, a physical fitness test which can be administered by your high school coach or another administrator at the school, your SAT and/or ACT scores, the result of an interview you'll have with a local Air Force officer, and any extracurriculars you have participated in during high school. The Air Force is always looking for strong leaders, so on your extracurricular sheet and interview, always highlight any leadership experience you have. This could be a leadership position on your student council, a team captain on a sports team, participation in junior ROTC or Civil Air Patrol, leading a volunteer event or fundraiser, participation in your church or youth organizations such as Scouts, and anything else you may have participated in. You can see the averages of those awarded a scholarship a couple years ago in the bottom right. The minimum SAT is 1240, but the average for those selected is around the 1400 mark, for instance. Finally, if awarded a scholarship, it may be one of 3 types. Type 7 will pay all tuition for a state university and is the most common type of scholarship given out. Type 2 is $18,000 per school year, and Type 1 is a full ride to include all tuitions and fees to any school. Since Embry-Riddle is a private university, we will convert a Type 7 scholarship to 3 years of the Type 2 benefit. So if you have a Type 7, your AFROTC scholarship will activate in your sophomore year. Embry-Riddle will make sure that you receive $16,000 in support in your freshman year if you come in with an Air Force ROTC scholarship, and some additional amount each year after that. I'd also like to point out that one of our crosstown schools, Stetson University in DeLand, Florida, offers a full ride to include all tuition, fees, and room and board, for any Air Force cadet that comes to their school with any Air Force scholarship. Please contact the school you're interested in attending for more details on these offers and numbers, however, as they do sometimes change from year to year. If you aren't selected for or don't qualify for a high school scholarship, there may be more opportunities for you to receive a scholarship while in ROTC. Our in-college scholarship offers a few opportunities, starting in the spring semester of your freshman year and including both semesters of the sophomore year. The minimum requirements to qualify for this scholarship are a cumulative GPA of 3.0, SAT or ACT score of 1100 or 22 respectively, a passing fitness test, and cleared medical physical exam, and the nomination by our cadre and ultimately the detachment commander. This is a competitive scholarship that is boarded at a national level, so you'd be competing against hundreds of other cadets across the country. Availability of this scholarship varies significantly from year to year. For instance, in the spring of 2020, we only had a single in-college scholarship to give out. But in years past, we've been able to get out up to around 25. Regardless, the factors that go into selection are mostly in your control, so make sure you keep your grades and fitness high to increase your chances. In the top right, you can see we also sometimes have express scholarships. These are irregular, short-notice scholarships that the Air Force offers to incentivize certain jobs or certain majors. Recent examples are an express scholarship offered to anyone willing to be a nuclear and missile operations officer, which are the officers that sit 80 feet underground in the Midwest and launch our ICBM fleet. They've also offered special scholarships for electrical engineer and meteorology majors recently. In the bottom left, you can see our Historically Black College and University Scholarship. This is for anyone attending a historically black college, which for our detachment would be Bethune-Cookman University. You do not have to be a minority to receive this scholarship, you just have to be attending Bethune-Cookman University. Finally, there are nursing scholarships available, but most of our universities do not offer a nursing program, so we rarely see this opportunity here at Det 157. Here are the service commitments that I mentioned earlier. If you are selected to be a pilot in the Air Force, you will owe 10 years of active duty service back to the Air Force after you finish your flying training, so about 11 or 12 years total. For all other related or flying jobs, such as Combat Systems Officer, Air Battle Manager, and Remotely Piloted Aircraft Pilot, you'll owe 6 years back after training. And for all others, you'll owe 4 years of active duty service back to the Air Force. This is regardless of whether you activate an Air Force scholarship or not. Finally, everyone's favorite slide, the money slide. Upon graduation from college, you will commission as a second lieutenant in the United States Air Force or U.S. Space Force. Within a year of commissioning, you will enter active duty. When you enter active duty, you will be paid a base pay of $39,445. You'll also receive a tax-free food allowance of $3,080 per year, and a tax-free housing allowance which will vary based on your physical location, as well as whether you are married or have children. The number you see here, $17,676 per year, is based on a person living in Daytona Beach at the rank selected. For comparison, a person of the same rank living in San Francisco, California, would be paid $49,212 for their housing allowance due to the high cost of living in that area. So you can see that your overall pay will vary some depending on where you are stationed. All of this comes out to approximately $60,000 per year as your starting salary, which is very competitive for the average college graduate starting in the United States. Even better news is that after 2 years, you'll be promoted to first lieutenant, making a total of almost $75,000 per year. And 2 years after that, 4 years after you entered active duty, you'll be making about $95,000 per year. If you are in a flying job, you'll also receive flight pay, which varies depending on your years of experience. Other bonus pays include hazardous duty pay for any job where you're in danger, hostile fire pay when you're deployed to a combat zone, and family separation pay if you have a spouse or children and are separated from them for a long period of time. Other non-monetary benefits include a lower tax bracket. As I said on the previous page, you only pay income tax on your base pay amount, not the food or housing allowance. Also, any pay you earn in a combat zone is tax-free to include your base pay. After 36 months of service, you'll also earn the post-9/11 GI Bill, which is worth around $90,000 for you to go to school during or after your military service. If you meet certain time and service requirements, you can even pass this benefit on to your spouse or children, and they'll receive the benefit instead of you. One of the biggest benefits is free medical care for yourself and any dependents you may have now or in the future. Care for yourself will always be 100% free, and care for your spouse or children will generally be free or extremely cheap also. Our retirement benefits recently changed, and you're now offered a pension of 40% of your last base paycheck for the rest of your life when you retire after 20 years. So if you graduate college at 22, you could retire with a good chunk of your base pay paid for the rest of your life, starting at age 42. The government also now offers 5% of matching in the Thrift Savings Plan, which is the government's version of the 401k. So even if you leave the military before 20 years, you can leave with something in your retirement account. While you're on active duty, you can receive up to $4,500 per year in tuition assistance to go to school while you're still in the military. Many young lieutenants and captains use this benefit to get their master's degree while they serve. We have 30 days of paid leave, so a whole month out of the year you don't have to work and you still get paid. You can hold up to 60 days of leave at a time. On base, you'll have access to the Base Exchange and Commissary. The Base Exchange, or BX, is similar to a Walmart or Target with many general home items. The Commissary is a grocery store. Both are generally cheaper than civilian stores in the area, and you also don't have to pay sales tax at either location, though there is a small service fee added at the Commissary. You also have access to many free legal services while in the military, such as drawing up a power of attorney, having your will completed, which would cost hundreds if not thousands of dollars with a civilian attorney, or just offering general legal advice. After serving in the Air Force or Space Force, you will of course be considered a U.S. veteran, which means you'll qualify for a range of services from the Veterans Administration, such as cheap home loans, small business loans, and many other things. Finally, Space Available Travel lets you hop onto an Air Force cargo plane and travel for a few dollars between our various bases. This is based on a priority system and isn't always reliable since the Air Force mission must come first, but it is a possibility and a cheap way to travel the world. This concludes our presentation. If you have questions that weren't answered during the briefing, please contact us through any of the methods on screen and we'll be happy to get back to you with individualized information for your situation. Thank you and have a great Air Force and Space Force Day.